Don't take the deal. Disclaimer. To those who have received this message, this was not targeted at you. If you received this message, this is due to you either being on my friends list or it being shared by a friend of a friend. This story is a journey of one who decided to take the deal. So what is this deal? You're probably wondering. Well, it all started back in high school. Growing up in a Christian home, I never really understood the outside world. But when I went to high school, I was introduced to a lot of things such as music and relationships and social norms like partying and drinking. But out of all these new things to me, the one thing that appealed to me the most was music. I really like music. I played the drums when I was around 3 years old and the piano when I was around 7. My brothers and sisters are also musicians as well, so finding new music was really fascinating to me. Since, however, I was raised not to listen to that sort of music, I only listened to Christian music. I started to listen to that stuff on my own. Well, now this started me to become more isolated, and I started going further into now wanting to take this deal. So, we now enter university. So now I'm much more distant from my family and people that I know. I only talk to very few people now, and Christianity was something that I didn't really think about anymore. However, whenever university came around, I was thinking to myself, I might start to change. I might get back to my normal self, become a Christian again. But this didn't plan out this way. Because I wanted to fit in with everyone in uni, I started finding friends who wanted to party but not really take life seriously. So soon drinking and clubbing, which seemed unnatural to me before, was now a normal everyday lifestyle for me. I thought, however, with each step that I took away from my family, that someday I would come back, I would start to fix up and I would change. But when this didn't happen, and I'd now been in uni for 3 years, I gave up and decided to no longer be a Christian. During this time I thought that I'll become more happy not being a Christian anymore, and that I was becoming more of myself and doing what I wanted to do. But only the opposite was happening. I started to develop bipolar behavior, have massive swings of depression every now and then, fits of anger, and suicidal thoughts just were normal to me. So as my mental health became more worse, I started to isolate from people. I now really wasn't talking to my family about anything that I was really feeling, and even the friends I was with, I only hanged out with very few of them. It was near this point that I was desperate and I was looking for a way out. So then I turned to the one thing I knew: music. Since I knew music was so well, I decided to take it up in a profession and join a band. I thought that through doing this I'd be happy, my depression would go away, and I'd start feeling normal again. However, due to my constant mood swings, which still were there, my behavior and unfortunate events, no band really worked out. So at this point, I was now really desperate. I was feeling lonely, and I just wanted to have fame and riches at any cost. Now, I'm not a greedy person, but at the same time, because I want to be recognized by people and admired by people, I wanted fame and riches at any cost. So now this brought me to the deal. Now, you've probably heard of musicians, artists, and celebrities giving their souls to the devil. Although this seems just like a myth and a conspiracy, let's hold on a second, hear me out. During this time, I was really desperate, and I thought that this was a way to achieve success. So I researched, and for about a month, I found nothing. So this left me even in a more depressed and lonely state. And at this point, I didn't leave my house or do anything apart from go to nightclubs or parties and practice music. So it then became a pattern of sleeping in the day and then going out at night. Then I found a new band. Now, this band seemed to be working better than the other bands I was in before. and we all seemed to get well together. So one night, when I was practicing over a long session, I decided to relax myself by going out to some of the pubs and nightclubs around. And I haven't been introduced to various drugs before, and at that point, usually when I finish practice, I would start feeling depressed. So when I was offered the drug that night, I decided to take it. Believing that this drug didn't take effect in my body, I decided to take more in my alcohol. Having now taken a drug, I then decided to go back and play some more music. So I went to the piano and I started playing some of the most favorite songs that I knew to play. When I started playing, the drug started to kick in. Now, to take into account, I have never taken this drug before. So when I was having this effect on me, I felt the words that come to me is like alive. So I decided, you know what, having this feeling, why don't I start playing the drums? So I started playing, and to my ears, the music sounded different. Now, I can't really explain it, but my drums sounded more professional, my technique was better, and I was more fluid, and it just sounded a whole lot better than before. But then, during it, I stopped, and I had this urge to lay out a chair right in front of the drum kit. So I did, and I sat back down. And then I heard a voice say, "Play for me." So, realizing in my spirit, the reason why I laid out this chair was for Satan. And the person that was saying play for me was Satan. So, I decided to play the best as I could. Now, as I was playing now, my drumming increased even more. And I start to feel a sensation or a rush over me. And then Satan said these words. He said, "Do you want fortune and fame and to become the greatest drummer in the world?" Now, it sounded like a big thing, but this was what I'd been asking for a long time. So I didn't hesitate. I just said yes. So then, I declared to Satan that I would give my soul to him. After accepting the deal, Satan started to speak to me. He told me all types of things that would happen to my life, my future and everything. But the main thing he said to me was that out of all the fame and fortune that I would have, I would die at the age of 25. Now, I am 22, so that meant that I would only have 3 years left to live. But due to my state of mind and having suicidal thoughts, I didn't really care. Now, having this rush, and I think also with the drug inside me, I rushed over quickly to my accommodation, told my brother, who was also at uni, about the situation, and told him that I wasn't a Christian, I was a Satanist. So, he called my parents after hearing this. But because he called my parents, I couldn't stay in the house. I had to leave. I didn't want to see them. So I stayed at somebody else's place. Now, my parents, having heard what happened, they rushed over to come and see me. Now, as soon as they met me, they talked with me and said, come home and let's settle these things. But being stubborn and the spirits that have now entered me because of accepting this offer and deal, I refused to go with them. However, due to the COVID-19 outbreak, I had to go back home. So I came back home. So now I'm back at home. However, things didn't become better, they became worse. I was now learning to practice demonic rituals, and I now declare Satan inside me. So now Satan started to speak to me daily, telling me to avoid my parents, listen to certain satanic ritual music, and even at times told me to kill my family. But now what had also happened was that this sensation of fear and torture started to build up in me. But because I was still depressed and suicidal, and I believed what Satan offered me, I continued. Then my dad came over and decided to chat with me. I thought he was going to give me a lecture, but he didn't. He just asked why I chose to follow Satan. Well, I told him my reasons about the things that happened. So then my dad said to me that, Jesus is going to speak to me that night. So, not really believing him, well, half believing him, I decided, right, okay, whatever. And I just went to sleep. Then I woke up at around 3 to 4 a.m. You have to take into account that this was regular during this time, as Satan would usually wake me up and then start speaking things to me. So this time I thought it was Satan that was going to talk to me, but it wasn't. It was Jesus. So Jesus, he started talking to me. Now I thought I was going to get a lecture the same way I thought with my dad, but that didn't happen. In fact, he did something different. He told me that everything that Satan said was going to happen. Okay, I didn't understand why he would tell me that. That just confirmed to me, well, now I'm definitely going to do it. But then he said this, he said that my life would become a life of torture, torment, and fear. And that it would be worse than what I'm experiencing now, or ever experienced. But then he showed me another life, if I was to follow him, or if I was to take his deal. I saw a family, I saw that I had a good profession in music and I was helping a lot of people. But still being stubborn, I didn't want to listen to what Jesus said. I had already taken the deal with Satan. So this conversation lasted for 2.5 hours. 2.5 hours, which was very long. Oh, I thought was long. But it was just between me and Jesus, with me continually saying no, and Jesus showing me more and more of how my life would end. So still rejecting what God said, I slept the rest of the night. Then I woke up the next morning. Now my parents, knowing that Jesus was going to talk to me, they came to my room and asked me what he said. So I told them what he said. When they asked if I wanted to come to Jesus, I just kept my mouth shut, because obviously in my heart I still wanted to take the deal and serve Satan. Then I felt something touch my shoulder, and it was Jesus. And he kept saying to me, stop being stubborn. He said that for about 3 times, but he didn't say it with like an angriness or an aggressiveness. It was a calmness. But still inside me, I was still being stubborn, and I kept quiet. Then Jesus asked me, well, Siri, what do you want? And the thing that I really wanted, that I desired the most, was to be able to sing really, really well. Now, it seems silly now, but at that time that was a choice. That was my choice. That's what I wanted to do, and so that's what I asked for. And then Jesus said, well, I can give that to you. So as soon as he said that, I fell on the ground and I started crying. Then, after I fell on the ground, I started screaming, and a loud shriek, like it was like a sound that just came out from my body, and I started shaking violently, and that was when the spirits that were inside me just left. So at that moment, I didn't feel any depression, anxiety, fear, or any suicidal thoughts. I was just at peace. So now that I've committed myself to a kingdom lifestyle, I now know that I know Jesus now in a more personal way. Now this is a message to talk about how I found Jesus, but a message about not taking the deal. Now, you have to understand now that Jesus has revealed to me a lot of people who have taken this deal within the music and media industry, but at the expense of their soul. Now, it's not them coming to Satan and talking to Satan like that, like you'd see in the movies and things. But a lot of them have sold their souls to a lot of big institutions. And because of this, they have become a slave to them and not having their own personality or who they are anymore. Now, even though I know these celebrities, I'm not going to name anybody, I'm not going to state anything. What I will say is that for one celebrity who had fame, success, money, they're going far, they're going well, they have a fear that I can't even describe. They have a torment and anxiety and depression that even though when you see them on the screen smiling and doing what they love to do, they still have that fear whenever they go back home or wherever they go to. So people who want this deal, you have to understand that you're gonna have a life of misery, of anxiety, of torture, of torment for the rest of your life. Yet you're gonna have the fame and success that you wanted. Now, this is a message for those who want quick fame, quick wealth, quick success. Don't take the deal. Thank you for your time.